This is Scoreboard with Chris Titley. Powered by Swiftex. Where can crypto take you?
Hi, it's Chris Titley, and on today's episode of Scoreboard, the podcast, I am joined by Nick Malouf. Nick, how are you today?
Going great, thanks, Chris.
We are sitting here on Thursday, the 25th of June, almost 50% of the way through the year. Wow, that's flown by, sitting here on a beautiful Thursday morning here in Brizzy. Nick, I'm curious, how's your 2026 been so far?
It's raining here in Sydney, so thanks for rubbing that in. But 2026, yeah, it's been busy but exciting, I'd say. There's plenty of stuff going on family-wise. As always, I've got two young kids, so they keep me nice and busy. And then work's been good. It's been exciting. A little bit of travel, which has been nice. Not too much, but just the right amount. So, yeah, plenty happening and all good stuff.
And, mate, when it comes to work, you want to let us know what you're up to, and then I suppose the overlaps between your previous athletic life and your new work life and how that intertwines in terms of mindset and leadership, etc.
Yeah. So I had a 10-year rugby career with the Sevens team. During that time, I studied Bachelor of Commerce, and I was always interested in financial markets and always knew that I wanted to have a clean break from sport when I retired. So retired, I joined CBA, was working in the institutional bank in a sales role there, and really enjoyed that for the year after Paris. The role with Teamworks popped up, and I'd never had any intention of moving back into sport, but as I read the job description, which was essentially a sales role with a sports tech company, I almost felt like it was an AI-generated job description, perfectly tailor-made for me, and I just couldn't help but apply. So I've been in that role since October last year, and yeah, it's been brilliant to be back engaging with NRL clubs, AFL clubs, teams up in the IPL in India. And then this year we've been working really hard on our expansion into Japan. So been over there, which has been good, heading back in a couple of weeks, and just interacting and being able to talk to like-minded people about things like sport and leadership, and yes, doing things that the best they can has been really, really exciting.
A couple of things I want to pick up on there. Firstly, around thinking about your career post-sport, and secondly, did you have any idea on what you wanted to do whilst you were playing sport, or were you just full throttle and focused on what you wanted to do and become the best rugby player possible?
No, mum and dad have always drummed into me, even when I was 5. It was always, sport is, I guess, this bonus, this nice thing that you can do, and we're really happy that you love it, but we also need to make sure that there's other stuff going on in your life away from sport. And I think that's certainly helped, and I think you'll see that a lot of the best athletes will have other things going on in their life, whether it's study or business or even just a hobby to take them away. So I was studying initially through the early to mid part of my career, and then certainly in the mid to later part of my career was really focused around networking, meeting as many people as I could, just coffees, leaning on mentors, starting to build up an understanding of what the future might look like. And it's hard when you're a sports person to know what do all these people in office roles actually do? What is it out there? Like the hardest part is almost understanding a job title and what your day-to-day is going to involve. So tried to figure that out. I guess the reason for doing the commerce degree was to keep it nice and broad, that it would give me options. And I enjoyed that. And then that naturally led to the CBA opportunity, but funny way that I just couldn't leave sport for too long.
And if you look back on your career and that focus and that advice from your parents, how did it sit with you early on when it was sort of like there's, you can't just be a rugby player forever, etc. I reckon imagine a teenage boy would be like, no, I can. So no. And in regards to the, looking back at your career, the things that are now the lessons that you've learned into this next phase of your life, are there some that you can share that you use maybe even on a daily basis?
I'd say that mum and dad did a pretty good job of really drumming it into me so that I almost just, that was the way that it was always going to be. Could I have been a much more diligent student? 100%. Did I possibly not do as much as I should have at various stages? Yes. I think that's the way that teenage boys operate, as you said. So, while I probably could have done more, I think it was always made very clear that you need to do things outside of footy. In terms of what that taught me, I think just being able to manage your time well. I think being curious is a great life skill, and wanting to learn more about what else is happening in the world and how other people view things. A lot of the time it might not necessarily correlate with what you believe in or maybe think is the right thing, but I think understanding different viewpoints and why people do things a certain way is great, and just picking up techniques from other walks of life that you might be able to bring back into your sporting career, and how other people deal with pressure, or all of those sorts of things I think are really valuable.
What's one thing or a couple of things that got you through those tough times, the pressure moments potentially, or sometimes when things didn't go your way, the injuries? Was there a deep belief? Was there a trust in the process? Was there a mentor or something to go, actually, you're okay, keep going?
Well, first of all, it is hard, and there's no secret that long-term injuries, missing selections, like, it is a very challenging part of being a professional player, and it's really hard to describe to people who haven't gone through something like that, because it is absolutely everything you want, and you're so selfishly set on this one goal, and then for it to be taken away, whether it's selection or an injury, it is tough to deal with. It is tough to deal with. So you have to kind of have a little bit of time to grieve, and then once that's happened, I think understanding, well, what can I control now? And in the case of an injury, it's going through the rehab process and doing that to the best of your ability. In the case of a non-selection, it's understand what I need to do to be selected, work really hard on that, and find my way back into the team. But I think there's kind of those two parts: grieving and admitting that, yes, this sucks, but don't live in that for too long. How can I fix it? And really about looking forward.
Looking forward's an interesting one, about planning or goal setting, but also to the now and bringing it back to the now, about the what you can do now if there is a problem, etc. I'm curious to know how you took feedback and how maybe better delivery of feedback improved you or whatnot, and your views generally on direct feedback to you.
Mm-hmm. One thing that you mentioned there was goal setting, and this might be controversial, but I think goal setting is a little bit overrated. I think there's far more power in, we all have a general idea of what does a good result look like. Like, if you were to tell me, how can I get better at something, without writing it down, you've got a fair idea of what's going to move you closer to achieving that goal. And I think a lot of people spend too long in the planning phase rather than the doing phase. And so I think just get moving in that direction and then figure it out as you go would be my take on that. In terms of the delivery of feedback and that process, I think if I put myself in a leader's shoes, how I would want to deliver it, and then also me receiving it, I think the number one thing is that there needs to be a relationship that is built to allow you to give honest feedback. And I think the care piece and building a relationship where the person that you're having that feedback with genuinely knows that you care about them, and the reason that you're possibly giving them some bad news is because you care about them and you actually want to see them get better. So I think the foundation is really around making sure that the relationship is a good one and investing time in that. And look, during my leadership career, maybe I didn't have that with every single player, but someone else in the leadership team would have that relationship. And so maybe they go and have the conversation where the relationship's a bit stronger rather than me doing it.
Let's touch on leadership for a second there in regards to you learning, and you mentioned curiosity around leadership. Did you take lots of learnings from other leaders, either via podcasts or books or et cetera, on leadership and start to learn it a lot more? Or was there a bit more, okay, let's do it my way, and my way is my way?
Oh, there's so much to unpack there. The first thing that comes to my head is the most important thing about leadership, I think, is that it's authentic to you. If you've read a book and you're trying to base your leadership style on someone else that you've read that is just completely different to your personality, people are going to see right through it and not respect or listen to you because it's just this facade. So I think my approach was, sure, look at some other examples of leaders, read some books. I wouldn't say that was particularly extensive. But I think starting to take where you do pick up on little things, and it might just be one sentence in a book or a little clip in a podcast. Oh yeah, I think that would be really good for my leadership style. So really about understanding how you want to lead first and what's important to you, and then taking on those little bits from other leaders or other examples that you might see out and about. And I think that's kind of the way that I tried to do it. But ultimately, what I would say is reading a book and then having to do it in real life are two very different things. I remember when I shifted from the vice captaincy to the captaincy, and you feel like you're doing a lot as a vice captain, but the reality is the buck doesn't ultimately stop with you. So when you move into the captaincy, I was like, it took me a bit by surprise just how much additional pressure is on and expectation is on you to train well, lead from the front, not have a bad day, be understanding of all these situations, make all these additional decisions. It's a lot, and it's super hard to prepare for until you are in that position.
And then the title that you got from that, was there an element of, obviously there's a custodian, but there's also an element of pat yourself on the back a little bit as well? I mean, how did you deal with all that in regards to, like, I am now captain of Australia and I need to deliver, this is kind of a dream come true, but like the dream come true part is the tag, not the execution.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is, as you say, a dream come true. And I think I tried to look at it as like, how lucky am I to be in this position, and I really want to make the most of it and try and leave the team in a better place from when I joined, and hopefully set the team up well during the time that I'm there, but into the future as well. And far out, did I get everything right? No way. Could I have done a much better job? Certainly. But I think being excited about the challenge of how can I make things better, I think that was the best thing. And yeah, like, is the captaincy the be all and end all? No. Is it great? Yes. Did I love my time as captain? 100%. But what I enjoyed was just having a great group of guys around me that we really enjoyed playing our footy together and playing for Australia. And I would say it's being part of the team was far more important than the title of leading the team.
And then when it comes to preparation for a game, being captain, you mentioned the extra overlay there. How did that sit with you in terms of being confident enough to being prepared for everything and being prepared to be a leader?
I would say my leadership style is to take on and absorb everyone's opinions and understand how people think about how we should approach something. I would prefer to have that information, but then ultimately I'm the one that has to make a call and what we're doing. And I would say, I think about a leader that I really liked during the back end of my career, and certainly still now, is someone like Pat Cummins. I loved his calmness. I loved the way you could see that he understood possibly what other players were wanting to do, has that collaborative approach, but then far out, he's really decisive when he does make a decision. This is what we're going to do. And the players then feel bought in because he's taken on everyone's opinion, but ultimately he backs himself to make a decision. And just the calmness of the way that he makes that decision, I really liked.
When it comes to decision making and you need to make a decision and you've made a decision, do you generally look back at that decision and analyse or question your decision, or are you moved on? Because some of the people that I meet who are very strong leaders, they'll just have a conversation with you and they'll make a decision, and then that's their view and that's their opinion through their learnings, and then that's it, and then they move on. Whereas some people might go back, did I make the right decision?
A very fine line. I think there's an argument to be made between reflecting and learning on, okay, well, was that the right decision? I have the beauty of hindsight now where I can say, okay, well, was that the right decision? But then I think, to my point earlier around goal setting and just getting on with things and moving forward, how much time do I allocate to making that decision? And so I can't give you a great answer there other than to say, yes, if there is time to analyse it, sure, but I certainly wouldn't spend much time on that. I think that analysis can be done reasonably quickly. It's about, ultimately, you got to back yourself, and you don't want to lose that decisiveness by then just constantly going into this over-analytical state of, far out, should I do this? Well, then this might happen. I think it's far better to be decisive, move forward, and then figure out things as they go.
Were you more decisive later in your career or earlier, you think? A bit of recklessness early, maybe, potentially?
Definitely later. And I think that's just because you have the confidence of experience, is that you've been in these situations before. You've got a far bigger sample size of how things might play out based on how you react to certain things. So, I think experience is a huge part of giving you confidence to make those decisions.
And then when it came to downtime and switching off, how did you go with that in terms of potentially being obsessed and it's your job and you're going full flat out? Were you a person that switched off and could switch off and then switch back on?
Part of me wants to answer yes and part of me wants to answer no. If I skip to how I felt when I retired, I would tell you that no, I couldn't switch off. Because as soon as I retired, and I remember speaking with a former Wallabies captain who I played with, and he had the exact same feeling that for the first time ever, I'll give you an example, for the first time ever, I didn't feel anxiety all of Sunday about the coming week of training. That would, every time from about 11 or midday, let's call it, on Sunday, I would have the butterflies in my stomach about, far out, we've got a full week of training ahead, like, what's that going to look like? And then I think, just generally speaking, every decision that you make is you compare it to how is that going to impact my performance. It might just be going for a walk with my wife. Well, I'm having a huge week on the training paddock. Like, it seems like not much, but going for a 2 or 3K walk with my wife, that's more time that I'm on feet. And is that the best thing I can be doing for my performance? Going out to dinner, having a few beers with your mates, all of those things, you're just on constantly and assessing how it's going to affect your performance, which was the biggest thing that I could finally let go of. And I could finally feel present in my life when I retired because I didn't have to do that anymore.
So, like, the opportunity cost during your career of going to the pub versus getting some sleep or going to a mate's wedding?
I did still go to the pub, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, that's good. But more like everything was on in terms of a ledger of where you wanted to go. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you constantly, every decision you make in your life is you're thinking about how am I going to pay for this potentially at the other end, or how is this going to affect training on Monday, my performance in the upcoming tournament. And that sounds very, very intense. There's certainly downtime in that as well. Like the part of me that wanted to answer, I guess the opposing view was sevens is a pretty brutal game where you got to play 6 games over 2 or 3 days. And so you have to get yourself up and then be able to switch off and get yourself up and switch off. And I think in terms of like that cadence, could I switch off and go upstairs and have some lunch in between games and have a joke around and not think about footy? Yes, I could. Did I enjoy the social aspect of being in a team and touring and all those things? 100%. But I also had this kind of just going along in the background. There was always this, how is this going to play out? How is it going to affect your performance?
When you're at your best and your very best, and you might have memories of those games or those performances, was there something that you did right? And did you look back on that and say, actually, this all just added up in hindsight on why I played well, or not really?
Yeah, I think there is, once again, the list is enormous, but if I was to narrow it down to a few things, I would say having confidence and really believing in yourself and backing yourself. And even if I'm out of form, all right, what have I got to do to just go out there and just get after it? I think as soon as that hesitancy creeps in, that negative thought process creeps in, then you're already defeated slightly in your mind. And so, that inevitably is what plays out on the field as well. So, yeah, being really confident in it. And then I think what I probably learnt as I went through my career was just being able to control your energy and enthusiasm. And what I mean by that is I can control if I have a loss, if training's hard, whether I mope around or whether I'm up for it. I'm up for the next game. Give me more, all of those things. And I think sevens is a game where energy is a huge part of what wins because it's a grind. You might take a loss, you got to come back and win the next game, and you don't have much time to digest it. So I think just whenever I needed to be on, I think bringing that energy, being excited, and you can convince yourself that you're excited. Even like there was plenty of sessions I didn't want to do. A contact session on a Tuesday where you got to go and bash your mates. No one wants to do that. But if you get excited enough, vocal enough, you can really shift not only your attitude, but the attitude of the group. And I think that's what I found also improved my performance alongside being confident.
Yeah, I heard a phrase the other day, you can only win when your mind is stronger than your emotions. And it sort of resonated really well with me. I'm curious, like that, you've kind of explained a little bit about that as well. Like maybe if you are flat and you're stale, you'll potentially, you can change, but if you've actually used your energy to change that mindset as well, like, no, let's get amongst the tackling. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it. I'm sure if you have a guest on here, and I'm not the most expressive bloke in the world, so I'm probably a bad example, but you could tell if someone is not completely invested in the conversation, if they're a little bit, I'd rather be somewhere else, versus someone who keen to have a chat, really engaged with you. And that also then affects how you talk with me. If I'm not looking engaged, then you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to wrap this thing up. Let's get this over and done with, versus how can we have a really good conversation? It's the same with performance in any sphere. The way that you communicate with me via your words, via your body language, all of that stuff has a direct impact on getting me excited as well. Because it's hard to be moping around when other people are up and about. It's infectious.
And in a world of tech and data, etc., with all these things saying you slept 8 hours 42 and your HRV score and stress score, etc., as well, like how did you go with that? Were you a bit of a tech nerd to say, actually, I got a good night's sleep and this and that, whatever?
It's good, but it's dangerous, that stuff. Even now, I check it, and to be fair, a lot of the time it matches up. So I think I would say it's useful and it gives you good insight. But if it's what you live and die by, then once again, that is something external that you're relying on to tell you how you feel, rather than you controlling it.
And 10 years ago, we didn't have this stuff, so we survived. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. A bad night's sleep was a bad night's sleep.
A bad night's sleep was a bad night's sleep, yeah. What about your coffee habits, mate? Were you a coffee drinker?
Yes, big coffee drinker. And I probably wasn't at the start of my career. I'm sure you've had plenty of people, if you've asked this question before, who are athletes, have come on and said the team environment, it's such a great way to step away from training, socialise with your team, inevitably over a coffee, maybe a crossword or a quiz that you're all sitting down doing together, just catching up. I think it's one of those great social parts of being in a team, and certainly that even happened when I was in the office. It's a really good place to connect with other people and talk about stuff other than work. Like, you do that for long enough, you want to have time away where you can build those relationships and connect with people. And coffee was kind of the gateway for that. Fell in love with it. Now I'm obsessed and got a coffee machine at home that I love. Right into it, weighing your beans and extraction and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, but it's a good rabbit hole.
It is a good rabbit hole. I'm not that far deep in it, but I do enjoy my coffee. We've been having a cup of coffee while we've been chatting here, nice and relaxed. But are you 2 a day, 3 a day, 4 a day? What are you up to?
I'd say probably 3 is the average. Yeah. Depends how much the kids have slept.
True. Oh yes, that's right. I used to have 1 for 1 kid, 2 for 2 kids, and 3 for 3 kids. We stopped at 3. But one little tip I will share about having coffee with friends and whatnot is that I try now to go and order my coffee and sit without a phone and either talk to someone or just not have your phone, because the amount of time people are waiting for coffees, even in the CBD, everyone's heads down looking at their phones. Yeah. But if you can actually have a decent conversation, it's like an opportunity for someone to say, how's your day, how's your weekend, etc., and get a little bit of connection. You never know, you might just change someone's day.
100%. Great shout.
Nick, we always ask our guests about their scoreboard moment, and the name of the podcast is Scoreboard, and the scoreboard can mean whatever you want it to mean to be in life, but the moment that I ask our guests about is something which is pretty vivid and pretty visual in your head, and from that moment life changed for the better. I'm curious, Nick Malouf, what's your scoreboard moment?
Um, I would say it would either be, I'd say it kind of happened in two steps, where if you think about the selfishness of a sporting career, that you are only worried about yourself and your own performance. I'd say if there were two walls that needed to be broken down, for me to stop being, I guess, as selfish and think about uh, how other people might be impacted. The first was marrying my wife, which vividly one of the absolute best days of my life. Was incredible, so much fun. Um, yeah, that was I guess the stepping stone to. I've got two kids now. When Lenny was born, um, yeah, my first, I'd say that's when the perspective of sport and how important that was. Um, as I said, I've always had things going on outside, but it really, when you come home and you see uh, the smile, or his eyes light up and a smile on his face when you walk up the stairs, even if training's been an absolute nightmare all day, it really gives you the perspective of, like, winning and losing is fantastic, but there's far more important and meaningful things in my life. And as much as I love sport and am going to give it a red hot go and my best performance, ultimately that's all I can do, and that doesn't need to determine, I guess, my happiness and how fulfilled I feel. That can be done at home, and yeah, I can have a great family that can pick me up when things aren't going well, and that I get to enjoy the good times with as well. So yeah, Lenny was at the Paris Olympics, which was super special, and a big part of the reason why I retired at 31, I think it was because I didn't want to be traveling as much. I wanted to be able to spend more time with the kids as they were growing up, and it was an easy decision for me to make, and it wasn't really my wife or anyone else pressuring me. It was just something that I wanted to do. So I would say that's the moment that impacted my life the most.
That's great perspective, mate. And kids and selfishness around being an athlete sounds harsh, but at the end of the day, work is selfish for most people, and you need to leave early, or you need to work late, or you need to do this, or you need to travel, etc. And it's a really interesting perspective, because I look back as a non-athlete and looking about the sacrifices slash investments slash whatever you want to call it for people to get to their best ability. And you go, oh wow, you missed this, etc. But then you look at most people's lives, maybe a surgeon or a doctor or whatever it might be, they're missing this and missing that because they're operating at 3 a.m. and stuff like that. So there's not too much of a dissimilarity. I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole tangent here, but I thought I'd pick up on it because it comes up often that people going, oh, I was selfish, and there's a little bit of guilt there, but I don't think there should be, is my point.
Yeah, and as you say, it's if I didn't have that mindset, then would I have gone to 3 Olympics? Probably not. But is there a time when my priorities shift and I have had a great time in those 12 years over that career where I'm content? I don't need to chase that anymore. I don't feel like I need to be the priority now. I don't feel like the sporting Nick is the one that needs to have everything about them anymore. It's okay, now is time for family and a bunch of other things. And yeah, that's why the decision was made. But as you say, if you want to be the best, yes, you do need to invest time. And do I regret that? Hell no, because I had a heap of fun.
That's the main thing. That's excellent. That's a really good way of summing it up. We do have a couple of sponsors that help us tell stories from the game of sport, and we're very, very grateful. And some sort of breaking news that SwiftX, our sponsor that's been with us from day one pretty much, well, episode number 87, has renewed for another 12 months, which is fabulous, so we can continue to tell stories. And SwiftX is Australia's most trusted cryptocurrency platform with over 1.5 million users in Australia and New Zealand. That's continually going up. It was 1.1 last time I sort of checked in, and now we're up to 1.5. But as part of their sponsorship, we run a little segment called The Bucket List, and as part of their campaign, Where Can Crypto Take You?, we ask our guests what their ultimate sporting bucket list live event would be that they haven't attended thus far. Nick, I'm curious.
So do I just give the list and SwiftX is going to shout me the trip? Is that how this works?
Well, maybe crypto could take you there. So where could crypto take you? It might take you to...
I would love to go to the Boxing Day test.
Oh, a local, not the Super Bowl or the Masters. Okay, let's go. Boxing Day test.
I reckon Boxing Day test for local, and then if SwiftX is paying and there's no budget, Monaco Grand Prix.
Ah, okay.
I reckon that'd be pretty good.
And my second question to that is the private jet or the private boat?
Why don't we do both?
Do both at the Monaco Grand Prix. There you go. Awesome. Now, we also have another partner in PocketSmith, and PocketSmith is the personal finance app for the household CFO, the one keeping the budget in check, paying the bills, and kicking goals. Over 80,000 Aussies use PocketSmith to track their spending, see their net worth, and plan ahead. And with all the adult things around sport and money and life and family, etc., I'm curious, Nick, are you a budgeter? Are you the CFO of your household?
I'd say I'm the CFO, but no, I'm not a budgeter, would be the short answer there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, PocketSmith, there you go, if you're ever interested in budgeting. Now, one final question for you, Nick, is, and I love asking this question, is your all-time favourite sporting moment? And I appreciate this saying that it doesn't include yourself, because there would have been some moments that you could share about your achievements on the field. But this one doesn't include yourself, and something that you could potentially watch on YouTube multiple thousand times.
I'm a very proud Queenslander, so I would say my answer would be Origin related. And generally, I'm happy to celebrate any Origin win, and hopefully there's another one coming in a couple of weeks. But I'd just say I think generally the 8 in a row was a great time to be a Queenslander, and a lot of fun just rubbing it in.
A lot of fun. You could throw in the Mark Coyne try. You could throw in Alfie Langer's performance in Game 3. You could throw in Ben Hunt's try. You could throw in Kalen Ponga, a couple of amazing plays a couple of years ago. And then I reckon that Game 2, second half last game, was probably up there as well in terms of some of the great Origin games.
Yeah, exactly right. And hopefully Game 3 gives us another belter.
Oh, yeah, at Suncorp again, the Cauldron. Nick Malouf, great to have you to have a chat today. Thank you so much for everything and sharing aspects of your journey thus far as captaining Australia through those 3 Olympics and the Rugby Sevens journey of your life. And now on to the next stage of your life and perspective, which we talked about a lot. I really do appreciate having you on and looking forward to catching up and supporting you where I can.
Cheers, Chris.
This has been another episode of Scoreboard with Chris Titley. Go back and check out some of the other episodes you might have missed.